Good afternoon and welcome to the Engineering Talent Awards nominee interviews. This is a series of webinar interviews led by myself and Theon Dixon in discussion with those who have been nominated at this year's awards. The Engineering Talent Awards are hosted by Equal Engineers. Equal Engineers are an organisation focused on improving the diversity and inclusion of the engineering industry. The awards were of course scheduled to take place in April, but due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic are now scheduled to take place in the future. A link to this and all the webinars in this series will be available once each is complete. In today's webinar, I'm here talking to Nicole Cox, who is nominated for Engineering Graduate of the Year. Now we are just waiting for Nicole to come online, so hopefully she will be with us in a second. There she is. Hi, Nicole. So just to introduce her, working as a graduate engineer for Siemens Mobility within the railway, signalling, control and telecoms business, Nicole is an innovative, creative and inspirational role model, bringing people together through her equality, diversity and inclusion work. Nicole is also driven by continuous improvement, demonstrated by her willingness to take on challenges that continue to develop her into a well-rounded engineer. She has been awarded Eng Tech status and aspires to join IEng accreditation. So welcome, Nicole.
Thank you very much.
That was the testimonial from your nomination form from the person that nominated you. It all sounds brilliant.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. And yourself?
Yes, good. It's very warm today. So in the spirit of that, let's jump straight in to the questions. Yeah. So what is it that you do day to day as an engineer?
So as you mentioned, I work for Siemens and I'm currently a graduate engineer. So I'm part of the graduate development program. So we basically do rotations for our first year, and then for our second year, we end up in one department where we kind of envision ourselves for the rest of the time at Siemens, I guess. So my current placement is within the Crossrail project. I think I've started in this placement around February time. So it's been a few months now. If you haven't heard of the Crossrail project, it's a rail project in London. I think it's currently the biggest infrastructure project in Europe at the moment. So it is a really exciting project. And it basically is a new underground line. So it's called the Elizabeth line, and it goes across London, so Crossrail. I think it runs from, or will be running from Reading to Shenfield. So at the moment, what I'm currently doing is leading a small team to implement some improvements on our software system. So the company in Ashby, who I work for, we are Siemens CIS, and we do the communication and control systems. So our software is used by operators who sit in a room, and so with our software you can monitor things in the stations, so escalators, lifts, ticket machines,
vital.
Yeah, basically. So when you walk into the station, all those things that you can see is probably monitored by our system. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment.
That's amazing. And it's all those little things that obviously are completely vital, but you don't necessarily think about. I mean, certainly, I walk into a station, I sort of take it for granted, but that obviously means it's working seamlessly.
Hopefully.
It must be great to be working on the Crossrail project. I used to live in Woolwich, so Crossrail was being built there at the time, and it's a vast project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, amazing, very exciting. So was this always an industry that interested you?
No, it wasn't actually. When I was growing up, I changed my mind so many times. So I think I wanted to be a vet at some point, a doctor. I guess it's kind of always been in something that's quite STEM related. But yeah, it's always very fluid and changing. I didn't actually realise about careers in rail until I was applying for jobs for internships in my second year of uni. And that kind of opened my eyes to all the different possibilities that you actually can go into with an engineering degree. I think at first when I first started applying for uni, I wanted to do physics and maths, which I guess is the core of engineering, but I actually failed to get into my chosen university at that point. So I kind of took a step back, and then I found product design engineering as a course, which I thought was perfect for me. And it's kind of an example that failure isn't always a bad thing. It kind of pushed me in the right direction, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely, it can be a very, very good driving force.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's really interesting as well what you say about sort of how failure can make you reevaluate things you may not have been thinking.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that is so great about a STEM career and engineering, of course, is all the routes it can open up. I mean, I wonder, I'd be interested to know how many engineers finish their sort of qualifications and then don't know exactly which direction they're going to go in. But that's actually quite exciting.
Yeah.
No, I love that. So how does it feel to be nominated for this year's awards?
Oh, it feels amazing. Yeah.
Testimonial was great, lots of praise in there, which is always nice.
Thank you.
So this is quite a big question, but it's one that I ask everybody, and feel free to answer it in your own way. But have you ever had to overcome adversity? And if so, can you explain?
Yeah, so I think my application says about this as well, but throughout childhood and throughout my teenage years, I have been struggling with my mental health. And then when I was in my second year of university, I did get a diagnosis of anxiety with depression. So it's been a tough ride. But I think being able to talk about it now is really important, because I think when you're going through university, there's kind of this expectation that you kind of, it's like the stress is kind of expected with all the exams and everything. But it's more common than you think. And when you start to talk about it yourself, you realize that other people have gone through similar things. And yeah, so I think talking about the adversity is really important. And it's made me who I am today, I guess.
And being able to talk to others about it and hopefully, sort of help them and show them, that it's okay. I guess that then obviously is quite cathartic and probably helps you as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So everybody wins from talking about it and being honest.
Yeah, yeah. And it's scary at first, like you're just worried about all these judgments, but you realize that when you do talk about it, it's usually more positive than negative. So yeah.
And I think it's fascinating actually the way you said, university is seen as such a stressful time anyway. I guess there can be this sort of fear of, oh, is it meant to be like this? And it's just stressful and this is how it is. And it's like, actually no, this is something completely separate. And you can't wrap it up in that whole sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I thought at the time that it was just normal, but luckily I had some friends that kind of helped me get through it and advised me to kind of go get some help. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, what was the transition like from student to actually working in the industry? Because obviously with anyone that studied anything and gone on to any career, it can be quite hard. But I imagine going into engineering, the potential for a steep learning curve is quite high.
Yeah. I think the transition kind of came at a good time for me. It's something new. And I was really nervous to begin with. But I think the year I started in industry, is where my life changed, I guess. It allowed me to kind of have a fresh start and kind of make a good impression, make new friends, make new connections, and try out some ideas and implement them in like a new environment, if that makes sense.
I love that. I mean, way to make it sound incredibly positive. I think anybody watching who's thinking about going into the industry or is already a student, that certainly sounds like a wonderfully positive transition. So that's great. What the technical side of things? I mean, did you feel well prepared? Was it like, oh gosh, once you get out there, there's even more to learn?
Yeah, I don't think I felt prepared for the technical stuff, but I think everyone's in the same position. It is a new environment. They don't expect you to be an expert in it like on day one. It is a learning experience, and for me, I've always had great people to look up to talk to ask questions if I'm stuck. I mean, at first I was kind of scared to ask questions because I'm like, oh, should I know this? But I realise now that there's not really any silly questions, and they want you to succeed as well. So yeah, don't be afraid to kind of ask the things that you're not sure about.
Very, very good life advice across the board and everything. Don't be afraid of questions.
Yeah.
No, I could not agree with you more on that one. I think if I've said this on previous webinars, but if you don't have a little bit of imposter syndrome at the beginning of a new job, then I'm not sure I trust you. I
Yeah.
think there's a very human, very leveling experience for everybody.
Absolutely.
So yes, I think absolutely right. Ask the questions. So you mentioned briefly an internship, which is really interesting because again, I think this is the third webinar I've done. Sorry, talking to nominees who are graduates. And how was that? Did you find that very important, the internship?
Yes, I think, well, I did my internship, which was meant to be for a year, but then I stayed on and extended my contract. And then I kind of never really left because I was able to work part-time whilst I went back to university. So it really helped me get that foot in the door. It's helped me to be more confident, especially when I go back to university, because I don't think I was very organized in my first couple of years at university. But when I returned from doing my internship, I just had such much more of a like inner drive to kind of complete my degree and learn new things and just better myself as a person. So yeah, it really helped with kind of like the soft skills and that kind of side of things as well, not just learning about the industry as a whole.
That's the thing. I mean, life admin is real, and career admin is real. And those are the sort of things that you cannot, and, university wouldn't be doing their job right if they spent all their time, worrying about that. They've got to train you for what you're going for. But I think that's why things like internships and work placements are so important,
Yeah.
because actually there's a big difference between being a student and working in any industry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you sort of hit the nail on the head there. The value of internships. So what advice, other than perhaps do an internship, would you give to other young people considering a STEM career?
I think one of the things I would say is just take opportunities, even if you're like scared of them, because
Be brave.
Yeah, and there's always going to be that little bit of fear in the back of your mind saying, no, don't do it, because I think our brains just want us to stay where we're comfortable, but growth doesn't really happen where we're comfortable. So take those opportunities, develop yourself, and don't be afraid of being yourself as well. I think maybe when you're starting a new job, you might kind of make yourself a bit smaller or tone yourself down a bit. But I think for me, doing things that are true to myself has really helped me just progress in life, I guess. Yeah.
So push yourself out of your comfort zone is what you're saying,
Yeah.
really.
So,
Growth doesn't happen where you're comfortable is wonderful advice. I think that should be the quote on the front cover of your first book. So tell me a little bit about InWed, because you created a campaign for them, which was hashtag I am a future maker, raising the profile and celebrating the achievements of women in engineering. So would you talk us through what InWed is and also that campaign, because it sounds great.
Yeah, so InWed is International Women in Engineering Day, which is run by the Women's Engineering Society. So this was actually very recently,
2 days ago,
23rd of June.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Looks to check date. Yes, that was 2 days ago.
Yeah. So I wanted to create something that aligns with the goals of InWed, to celebrate women in engineering and their achievements, and really give them a platform to kind of like shout about who they are, what they're about. And each year InWed has a hashtag. So this year it was shape the world, and last year I think it was transforming the future. So the I'm a Future Maker campaign, basically I create profiles for women in engineering, so they basically state their name, any accreditation they've got, their route into engineering. So you've got your kind of like your classical routes, so apprenticeships or university, but you've also got people who don't go into engineering through those traditional routes. So it was nice to put a spotlight on that. What else? Their hobbies as well, I think was really important to include, because I think maybe there might be a perception of engineers to just be all about the technical stuff, and I don't know, maybe we seem to not have much substance elsewhere. I don't know, something like that. But I just wanted
Nice.
to Well, hopefully not, but I wanted to highlight the fact that we're all diverse, we're all got different interests, and there really is something for everyone. And it's really empowering for me every time I do this every year, because I learn about different careers that I didn't know about before. I learned that you can enjoy lots of different things and still be a woman in engineering. So yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, it sounds absolutely incredible. And I think learning about different parts of the engineering industry is fascinating, because since I've come to do these webinars for the ETA Awards, which has been great for me, I have learned so much as somebody that does not come from an engineering background. So it's been fascinating learning all these different things. So yeah, and what you say, I think, about the personality of engineers is completely untrue, because again, a few people I've had the pleasure of speaking to while hosting these have told me all sorts of crazy things. You know, some people have designed roller coasters. I mean, you don't get any cooler than that.
Yeah,
Some people
exactly.
do massive floral arrangement projects, which, you know, require mechanical engineering. So no, I think we can put that myth to bed today.
Absolutely, yeah.
So as a STEM YRP ambassador, you organised and supported events to influence children to possibly consider going into STEM.
Mhm.
How was that?
Yeah, it's good. So every year I try to work with our local school in Ashby. So we, when did we start? I think it was a couple of years ago. We basically we organised an event where the Ashby School kids could come into our place of work. I created some activities for them, kind of added a little competition element as well. And I wanted to make it something fun that they'll remember, and also create awareness for careers, not only in STEM, but in rail as well. And then kind of measure that impact as well. So we did questionnaires before the event and after the event, so we could see what the impact was of these events, I guess. And it's been positive every year. It's given them more confidence in problem solving, in teamwork, in presenting. So I guess I really enjoy doing this because it's much more than just delivering a presentation to a bunch of kids that don't really connect in it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it gives it a bit of extra depth and hopefully a bit more fun.
And tying it in with InWed, I mean, it must be important as well to make it clear to young girls that this is really a career that is viable to them and that
Yeah,
they can go into. I mean, have you found that?
I hope so. Yeah, I get when I've done some events with so like I did a lecture at University of Birmingham. I had some comments from one of the lecturers saying that the girls were saying that they feel inspired that they could kind of have someone that they relate to. So that was really important for me. Yeah, and that's why I love what I do.
No, absolutely, that's great. And I mean, you know, we've said it before. I've said it before, but I mean, I think making it clear to young girls that this is absolutely a viable option for them, you know, which they may not have considered or they may not have seen represented to them in the media, you know, at school age, can make a big difference.
Mm.
Fantastic. So I'm going to read this. This is quite a long. You've been described as an outstanding ambassador for women in engineering through unapologetic and relentless campaigns and a proactive approach in facilitating opportunities to inspire girls to consider careers in engineering, as we were just speaking about. So I guess my question is, there's some very, you know, strong words, strong language in there, which you must be very, very proud about. I mean, do you feel proactive and relentless and unapologetic?
I mean, I wouldn't. Those words don't come to, like, they're not the first words that come to my mind, but it is really, really nice to hear
It's
that.
inspiring.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, through the I'm a Future Maker campaigns, I really do try to be proactive, and I'm a very creative person. So when I have an idea, I really want to kind of make it happen. So yeah, it's really nice that I've been able to get these people involved and really put like raise the profile of these just amazing women that sometimes if whether I've worked with them or they've got in contact with me through social media. So yeah, it's really nice.
That's brilliant. Now, I've got quite a long list here of things that you have won. So let's just go through these. So you've been awarded 14 Siemens Champion Awards for excellence. You've been awarded 2 Siemens Champions Awards for innovation. You were awarded 2 Siemens Silver Podium Awards for excellence, the Siemens Mobility Intern of the Year 2018, and the Siemens Mobility EDI and STEM Champion 2019. I mean, I can barely read all of those. So How long have you been with Siemens? Because you've won an awful lot.
Since 2017.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
And
but
how does
it's
it
great that,
feel to have won so much?
oh, brilliant. It's great that they have this really cool reward system through the Champions Award. But yeah, it's just a bonus, really. I don't think about the
That's not why
awards.
you do it, but it's nice
Yeah,
to have type thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so what exactly are the Champions Awards? Because they sound brilliant as a way of recognizing talent in the company.
Yeah, so there's kind of different levels, I guess. You can nominate your colleagues.
Nice.
So there's kind of like an e-card or an instant reward, but there's also different levels. So they go from a normal Champions Award to a podium award. So I think there's like a committee that kind of reviews them and then puts you through to the next stage. And then at I think every year they have an award ceremony for the highest level of podium awards. So yeah, it's really cool to see everyone's achievements and
It's
yeah.
nice to have that internal recognition, isn't it? Because like you said earlier, it's not why people do things, but it's still nice and it shows everybody the hard work pays off, I guess.
Yeah,
Motivational. I love that. Hopefully we'll have an awards ceremony of our own if the pandemic ever allows.
yeah.
So hopefully looking forward to that personally. I should have said at this point actually to anybody watching that if you wish to submit a question through the Q&A option, there's a button down the bottom, so please feel free. So you've been very open, as we discussed earlier, about your struggle with anxiety and depression, and you fundraised considerably for the charity Mind. I saw a crazy list of activities that you've done. I'm not sure if they're all for Mind or if they're for different charities, but talk me through some of them and some of that charity experience, because you've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so I think the first crazy event was a skydive. I think it
Skydive.
was, yeah, 2007, 2018, I think I did that, which is terrifying. And for someone with anxiety, it's not great either, but there's such a feeling of achievement when my feet touched the ground. I just literally just started crying, like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Like in a good way, but yeah, kind of like, I can't believe I've just done this kind of thing.
I mean, that is really pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. That is
Literally,
incredible. At
yeah.
least you live by your own advice. And what were some of the other activities?
So I did a lot of active challenges. So maybe you've seen some of the things like run a certain amount of miles in a month. I ran a marathon in Amsterdam last year when I wasn't a runner at all. So that was definitely a challenge. But again, it just shows that you don't have to be amazing at something at the start. As long as you start, that's the main thing. And you just have to kind of take it day by day, challenge yourself a little bit more each time. And then eventually you'll look back and be like, oh my gosh, I've just run a marathon.
Which is good advice for career as well. Did I see that you had Tough Mudder on the list, or did I dream that?
Yes, yeah, I did.
Oh, gosh.
That was with some Siemens people as well, so that was really good fun. But not to an extent.
So you've actually sort of accidentally, through fundraising for Mind, you've accidentally become sort of like one of these crazy adrenaline sports people.
Adrenaline junkie.
Are you going to continue that? Are you now eyeing up bungee jumps?
I did actually do a bungee jump.
Oh, gosh. Well, you're running out of stuff already. What's okay? There's a question for you. What's next on the extreme list?
I'll be climbing Snowdon. I was meant to be doing it in April, but they cancelled it, postponed it to later on in the year. So yeah, that's my next challenge.
Oh, a mountain.
We're staying on the ground, but yeah, it's a bit of a different one. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Amazing. Well, I think that's brilliant, and I think challenging yourself like that, and also doing it for charity is brilliant. Have you actually had personal experience with Mind, or they were just a mental health charity that you wanted to support?
So I did have a bit of personal experience. So when I was kind of like at the beginning of my recovery, they have a service called Ellie Friends, where it's kind of like a community. You can kind of be anonymous and you can chat to different people that are kind of going through the same things. So I think there are helplines that Mind have, but for me, I find it really scary, like calling people. So that was really useful to have something I can just type and kind of think about what I'm saying. But yeah.
That's really, really key because, like you say, because one of your issues was anxiety, if phone calls make you anxious, then obviously it's so much harder to reach out for help.
Yeah.
So having that feature, I guess, is vital. Is that why they created that, or do you know? Or I suppose maybe not.
I'm not sure, but it's been really useful. And I think there's another service which I found out about recently, not by Mind, but it's called Shout, and you can text instead of calling. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, in 2020, I mean, if things aren't accessible by text, then they're going to fall
Mhm.
behind. So that's vital, I guess.
Yeah,
Amazing, isn't it? The tools that we can now use. Sometimes modern technology can seem a little depressing. One only has to spend 10 minutes on Twitter in
yeah,
some sort of social spat. But it's great, I think, when modern technology can be used like that, and for people that can access help so easily. A
yeah.
text message. I mean, it doesn't get much simpler than that.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. And
that's
especially in our environments where we're working from home, you might not want to talk to your family about something.
mm.
You might not want to hear them talking to your counsellor over, I don't know, video call or something. So having the ability to just send a message is really cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's absolutely brilliant. So I was going to ask you about any hobbies that you have, because sometimes it's interesting to see how they relate to engineering. I've had some
Yeah.
unusual ones like the flower arranging, but it seems to me that your hobbies are all adrenaline fueled. Is that an accurate representation?
I guess so, yeah. And I think I dabble in quite a lot of things. I like to keep busy and always doing something. One of my recently found hobbies is 3D printing. I recently got a 3D printer, so that's
Wow.
quite engineering related, I guess. And other things that I'm interested in is figure skating. So when I was little, I did figure skating, then didn't do it for 11 years and picked it back up again. So that's really fun.
How was that to pick back up, though? I imagine it's a bit harder this time round.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I kind of, to an extent, it's a bit like riding a bike,
Wow.
but I'm not as small as I used to be, I guess. So my muscles aren't in the same way. So, but hopefully I'll get back.
Well, 3D printing to figure skating is quite an eclectic group. So what about the future? I mean, obviously, you're nominated for Engineering Graduate of the Year. You've been at Siemens for a while now. You're working on a wonderful project like Crossrail. But what would you, I mean, let your mind go wild. What would you hope for the future? What might engineering hold for you?
So I definitely want to work towards my incorporated engineer status and hopefully eventually become chartered. I do want to do a master's in rail engineering at some point.
Wow.
In terms of career, I don't really know specifically at the moment. I think I want to go into the direction where I can be a leader. So maybe product management or a bid manager, somewhere where I can interact with people and just kind of coordinate things and manage a project where we're doing cool things.
Well, it's a very admirable aspiration. I think a lot of us share that too, probably. So amazing. I mean, a master's is very, very exciting, although a dizzying amount of work. So I guess falling into rail sort of almost accidentally has really shown you a path forwards.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think another piece of advice I would give is just be open-minded as well. Like you don't, things could change so much in the next 5 years. So yeah, just take opportunities as they come, I think.
Take opportunities as they come. And I guess you've been working from home at the moment, have you?
Yes, I have,
Yeah.
yeah.
How is doing a job like yours from home? Like, it can't be easy? Or maybe it is?
It took a while to get used to, I think, because it's just a different environment. I'm a lot more used to it now. It's quite easy, I think, because we can get access to the software on our home laptops, so that's all right. But yeah, there are its challenges. We recently got a kitten and she keeps walking all over my keyboard.
Oh, cute.
But she is cute.
That's
yeah,
a good problem to have.
Yeah, but at least working from home, I can spend time with her. So.
And final question from me then. If you hadn't have been an engineer, what would you have been?
Ooh.
Figure skater, maybe.
Yeah, why not? Maybe like an athlete of some sort, I think.
I think actually, given your extreme sports love and your clear drive and determination, that probably would have been possible. Well, it has been wonderful to talk to you, Nicole. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having
And
me.
thank you all for watching. Please do remember to share the link from this webinar. And until then, it's goodbye. And we look forward to finally being able to celebrate the Engineering Talent Awards with you later this year. Bye-bye.